How do you tell if a politician is lying? His lips are moving. So goes the old joke. Under apartheid, corruption was widespread but kept hush-hush. There is a view that in the last 25 years, it's become so endemic, it's on steroids. And it's the poorest citizens who bear the brunt. Let's get started. Good evening and welcome to the Democracy Gauge. I'm Bongani Bingwa. If you're just tuning in for the first time, where have you been? Well, no worries, you're here now and we hope you enjoy your stay. As always, of course, we turn to you, the South African electorate. You are the key voice we want to hear from ahead of the 2019 provincial and national elections. Our promise remains: no politicians, no electioneering. From the arms deal to state capture, is corruption the story of the new South Africa? Our poll question then tonight: will our country be able to conquer the "it's our time to eat" culture? The standard three colors are what you have to choose from. Green is for yes, yellow maybe, red is for no. 1994 was a time of hope for many. Hope for change, for dignity, hope for equality. The notion of "it's our time to eat" is currently taking center stage as we hear shocking revelations at the state capture inquiry currently underway. And it hasn't been only public sector corruption. Steinhoff and VBS Mutual Bank and others show that at times it's private sector players corrupting actors within the state. Our senior political correspondent Mzwandile Mbeje takes us through some of the high-profile state capture scandals.
The dawn of democracy in 1994 heralded a new chapter in South Africa. As Nelson Mandela took the oath of office, many hoped their lives would change for the better. There was also hope that many institutions which underpinned democracy would be run properly. And no doubt, benefits of a democratic South Africa have been immense. But it's not been all that rosy.
Impropriety and corruption by government officials.
The country has had to deal with a number of corruption scandals. The arms deal was probably the first major scandal to hit the democratic government. Meant to modernize the country's military, the package estimated to be 29 billion rand. But kickbacks and escalating prices mired the process into widespread corruption.
Investigation.
The Seriti Commission of Inquiry was established to investigate the allegations. As the country continues to watch proceedings at the state capture inquiry, Bosasa has proved to be one of the biggest scandals this country has seen. Allegations of bribery, money laundering, and exchanging money for politicians and high-profile individuals for influencing tenders stunned the country. It's estimated to have cost the state 12 billion rand. The Zondo Commission is continuing investigations. The notion of capturing the state has largely been associated with the Guptas. This family has been accused of exerting influence on cabinet appointments and top management of parastatals, including board members. The family, whose proximity to former President Jacob Zuma is well documented, is currently outside the country as the Zondo Commission zooms into its activities. The security upgrades at former President Zuma's homestead cost more than 250 million rands. This caused an outcry from the public.
Pay back the money! Pay back!
The building of World Cup Stadia was also mired in controversy as allegation of collusion among big construction companies surfaced. They were subsequently given hefty fines. When former Prasa boss Lucky Montana wrote a letter setting out accusations that the Gupta family schemed to capture the parastatal and grabbed a 51 billion rand tender for a bid that they represented, it laid bare the depth of corruption at the parastatal.
It was approved by the board tender committee.
ESCOM, which is currently before the Zondo Commission, is detailing a number of corrupt activities which have characterized the power utility. Even the construction of the Medupi and Kusile power stations are said to have been overpriced and badly designed, hence the two stations are not able to produce sufficient electricity. The estimated cost could be 500 billion rand. Mzwandile Mbeje, SABC News.
So can we reverse the culture of it's our turn to eat? Well, I'm joined now for this discussion by Deborah Muthembu-Watumbo, who's the director and, of course, the head of legal and investigations at Corruption Watch. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We're asking this question fundamentally because when you break it down to its barest bones, corruption is a big middle finger, really, to the poor, is it not?
It certainly is, precisely because the poor pay the price for corruption, first and foremost. So in the situation that South Africa is going through right now, if the middle class are feeling the effects of corruption, you better believe that the poor have been feeling the effects of corruption for a very long time.
You saw in that package, I mean, it's just been a litany of scandals, starting most significantly perhaps with the arms deal, but VBS, Bosasa, issues around state capture, more revelations, one after the other. Most of the people that would claim, particularly in an election year, to care about the poor have been fingered.
Precisely. I think that's quite clear, and I don't think, we've even reached the tip of the iceberg. There's corruption happening in all corners of South Africa, and in all corners of South Africa, the poor are feeling it the most. So I do suspect that, even with its current terms of reference, a lot will be revealed in the State of Capture Commission. But I think more needs to be done in order to combat corruption and really just root out where corruption is taking place throughout the country.
It's easy for people looking at all of these things and say, well, if the people at the top are corrupt, why shouldn't I?
That's a good question. And it's understandable that people would feel disillusioned. There was the hope for a better tomorrow, a new dawn, so to speak, in 1994, that after the repressive and terrible system of corruption, a new age would come into South Africa where everybody would prosper together. But it seems just a few are prospering. But that's not a reason. That is absolutely not a reason to partake in corruption, because corruption is a cancer that kills countries.
Oh, but the thing is, it's already set in. I mean, that's really the point, isn't it? You can talk about it being a cancer. It's spread. We are a corrupt nation, are we not?
We're in crisis. We're in crisis mode, and a lot needs to be done to reverse the effects of corruption.
Like what?
And why I say it's like a cancer is because, if vital organs of state do shut down because of corruption, then the nation is on a downhill, and there's no coming back from that.
All right, so what are some easy wins? How do we start reversing this culture of it's our turn to eat?
I think firstly it starts with individual South Africans. Even though our leaders, so to speak, are seen as corrupt individuals, there are people all over South Africa, incredible leaders that are working on grassroots level to combat the effects of corruption. You see it at organizations such as Corruption Watch, where we're working tirelessly to combat and reveal corruption. One of the ways we can do it is change our ideas about corruption. Corruption is not something that's easy. Maybe it's an easy short-term gain, but it has long-term consequences. And I think the youth of this nation, more than anybody else, will really feel the impacts of corruption.
Someone will say that's all very idealistic. Of course, we know the long-term effects of what it might do to the society, but for the individuals who are involved, who get away with it, see, that's the perception, that there are no consequences.
Yes, there have to be consequences.
But they usually aren't, not in this country quite often.
And we see with the new dawn of a new NPA, or a National Director of Public Prosecutions at the NPA, we're hoping that we'll see that change. But, the State Capture Commission right now is looking into the capture of the criminal justice system precisely because of that. People have not been held to account, and we need to understand why.
Deborah, where did we lose our way?
Well, to be honest, Bongani, I can't even answer that. I think it starts with an attitude. I think, like cancer, corruption starts with one or two individuals not doing what they're supposed to do. And if those individuals are not rooted out, then it starts to spread, and more people start taking part in corrupt activities. And I think that's basically where we started. We started with a few rotten individuals that have now permeated every corner of South Africa and our government.
That would suggest to me then it's too late to lance the boil, as it were. It's spread too far.
Well, corruption is not unique to South Africa. Every nation experiences corruption, and every nation comes to a place where it needs to grapple with this. And a real concerted efforts need to be taken to reverse the effects of corruption. It's not hopeless, precisely because we have leaders in all corners of South Africa combating corruption. And the key really is about ensuring that those that hold the keys to the gates of power ensure that real leaders are the ones that have power.
Well, in an election year, perhaps that power should go back to the citizens. I think perhaps one of the discussions we don't have often enough is whether or not we hold our political leaders to an adequate standard.
And perhaps we don't. I think there's a lot that goes into the political history and the political environment within South Africa. It's got to do with the fact that we have a strong liberation party, that, we have stalwarts and heroes in this party. And a lot of people have felt a great deal of loyalty to that party. But I think it's time that South Africans start feeling loyal to the country, to the nation, to themselves, and to the future of South Africa.
Indeed, because it isn't just about party politics, it's also about private citizens, as we've seen in the private sector. Deborah, thank you so much for your views here on the Democracy Gauge. And as we look at this issue, as we deal and tackle with these problems, we want to hear what you think. How do you see it in your corner of South Africa? Every day, as you know, we have a poll question here on the Democracy Gauge. You can engage with that poll, by the way, on sabcnews.com, and of course on Facebook and Twitter. Remember to use the hashtags SABCDG25 and SABC News. Tonight we're asking, will the country be able to conquer the "it's our time to eat" culture? Green is yes, yellow is maybe, red is no. We'll get to your views after the break.
Everyone wants a dignified funeral.
That is what a clientele funeral plan can give you. Lasting dignity.
I just want my family to be there, all relaxed, not worrying about paying for anything, knowing that clientele covered everything.
I would like a dignified funeral, and the rest should be invested for my children's future.
Clientele funeral plans pay out in 24 hours. We will even send 200 Rand airtime. You can cover up to 13 people on one plan. Plans include grocery, unveiling, and transport benefit. Plus, you can get all your premiums back.
I told my family, I don't want a fancy funeral. They must come there for a cook sister and a sandwich, and then they must use the rest of the money for their future.
I will never stop paying my monthly premium. To me, paying my monthly premium is as important as buying groceries.
SMS LIFE to 31043 and we'll call you back.
I use my name first and foremost. That's all I heard, and from using the name I got a small loan of 8,000 Rand.
I remember there is a time la sa zama kumfunela umsebenzi.
Welcome back. As you know, it's all about you here on the Democracy Gauge. So let's find out what you are saying on social media. Let's start with the picture on Twitter. All right, here it is. We can deal with the culture of crime in South Africa only if government officials and their immediate families do not trade in business such as tenders to government. Again, the culture of tribalism through cadre deployment is rife and must be dealt with accordingly. All right, Ms. Meyer says it's those in government who get millions of rands for a salary and still they are greedy. We need to overcome corruption and save South Africa. All right, as long as it's racialized, says Mahadebe, instead of addressed across the board, it won't be overcome. The day we approach it holistically, we will overcome it. That's the picture on Twitter. Let's go to Facebook and see what the views there are. Prosper says corruption can be beaten only if we have strong institutions of justice and judges who are not biased. Quick prosecutions and sentencing, and give strong penalties for corrupt people regardless of who you are. Letsatsi says no, capitalism thrives on corruption. So really a mixed bag of views on social media. We'll continue, of course, having the discussion on our various platforms. And of course, we're coming back now with more of your views. Right, the People's View allows you to interact with us live and share your views candidly, directly. Well, we're joined now by Uyanda, who joins us now on Facebook Messenger. Uyanda, welcome to Democracy Gauge. What is your thought? The culture of It's Our Turn to Eat seems like it has set in. How do we reverse it?
Well, thank you for the welcome. I think it's very important for us to address the issue of people wanting to eat, to then say that the country needs a huge dose of accountability. The country needs for the people in power to account, right? And so there's been various movements such as hashtag pay back the money that have spoken to accountability of leaders in the country to say that corruption must be stopped. So I think it is possible for corruption to be overcome in the country through transparency and more so through accountability of the leaders to say that no, the country demands answers. And not only are we going to go forward from corruption through undoing what has already been done, but also through accountability of what has already been happening.
Yeah, accountability is a strong word. Thank you for that view, Uyanda. We've also got Hloni on the line. Lhonolo joins us as well. Lhonolo, what's your view? How and can we turn back the culture of It's Our Turn to Eat?
Bongani, my view is that there's a misconception that corruption is out of control, but we must acknowledge that it's a threat to our democracy. However, in terms of curbing the corruption, I think the first point of reference should be the state capture. Remember, one of the mandate was that they're supposed to hand over the complete report to the president within a period of 2 years. But a lot has unfolded. So I'm of a view that it's important that with what we have at the moment, or with what we had, we should start taking action by empowering the law enforcement to actually take their responsibility. The second issue, I think, also the report about the SCA, which everybody saw it was in the public domain. I think it's setting a platform for us to see that actually some of these state institutions were actually captured. So first point of reference is actually to correct those imbalances. And then secondly, we need to empower our law enforcement to actually start taking action with the current evidence that we have. And in conclusion, I think there's a lot that has happened within a short of period of time. You look at the ESCOM state capture inquiry, a lot was revealed. So in order to curb this corruption, I think it's very important that we need to ensure that we actually empower enforcement to take action.
Yep, that's the view of Uyanda there and Lihlohonolo. Basically, accountability has got to be a key way to approach this, and you've got to make sure that the law enforcement agencies are able to do what they need to. Now, if you want to be a part of the People's View in our next show, simply send us an email, dg25@sabc.co.za. At the end of today's show, I will throw forward to tomorrow's topic. And of course, 63-year-old Mamdingani Pemvana from Bloemfontein, her story is coming up after this break.
What do you need when you cast your vote?
We need to have education.
We need a new
model.
We need more justice.
We want to be employers.
We must clean up the ANC out of our system.
We are going to deal with corruption.
That's what we need to do.
For the answers, don't miss the all-new season of The Big Debate every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC News Channel 404 and SABC 2, starting 10th of March.
We are at the forefront of Africa's tech discussion.
We're already planning for the 5G spectrum to be licensed by 2020.
In Mauritius, for fiber migration, we had a strategy. On network, we have gadgets, robots, and more.
We focus on investing in entrepreneurs and technology in emerging markets.
There's technology and social media news on Network with me, Spumelele Zondi, every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and every Sunday at 5:30 p.m.
On Trains Travel, we bring you a full guide on all things lifestyle related. With so much to discover, we give you comprehensive reviews of places to visit, music, travel, and food. We also explore the arts, whether on or off stage. All this and more. Be sure to tune into Trends Travel Saturdays at 5:30 p.m.
Well, through the democracy gauge, one of the interesting features of this show is how SABC News has been able to help us to profile a different South African every evening. So we travel the length and breadth of the country. We've been all over the map that you're about to see upload, from the Northern Cape to Johannesburg, Pietermaritzburg, Durban, and today we're in Bloemfontein for the story of Madingane Pemvane from Bloemfontein. She walks 2 kilometers every week to sell recycled material just so she can make a living. Although she gets a social grant, it's not enough to meet her basic needs.
Madingane Lorraine Pemvane ke dula Lusaka Square hamme ne ke na le haka itse ba bolae monnaka ya ba kusana khatana le molla pete mme a re ke tle kwa ntlo dula le nna kana dula le le mme o ditlolong tsae mona Petersburg erma nna ke tle le 1955 December 16 molemo wa ka go bonang wa South Africa go bana ha sana apartheid ke bona re phela betere bana mmuso wa re peisa re fatshele le nna ja bona dintho di fetoile goba apartheid one ne re sa kgone o itaola ha o dula ne re dula makgweng ne sa kgone o itaela ne re laola ke makgolo o senjela ha o sa utlwisise ne bona sponsor se kena so tshwara selo kwala nka thabela South Africa e be fela jwalo kapa e be ka hodimo go feta mo o ba re phela monate ka ntle go apartheid ya napete batho ba batho bona ba fumana pei e nyanyana ka mora matsatsi ka mora dikgwedi gona jwale pei ya rona le kana le batho ba su ke thabetse bophelo ba ka the way ke le ke phelang ka teng batho ka o phela mona ba sa ba dula le makgowa sa dula le batho ba batho ha sa le ntshwane apartheid batho ba dula di-tracing makgowa a dula kwana di-officing tsa makgowa ne re sa kene dipetleleng tsa makgowa ne re sa kene ke roboto e bolelang ka ho nna ke buletse le nna le hodimo hohle apartheid ya napele ne re le kgetholotse ne re sa phele makgowa ne ba bitsa bo bus gona jwale mmitsa menere mefro le yena o bitsa menere mefro gore o sotlele a ba sotlea tshwana fela ga e senya lekgwa wa kena wa nepele ne dula ka ntle a reja gona le re ka le matafoleng ke na le metsi ke na le toilet ka tlong ke na le RDP ke phela monate.
Right, let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? Do you remember where you were in the build-up to Freedom Day 25 years ago? Well, on this day, 25 years ago, the SABC archives show us that General Constant Viljoen, who had resigned from the Afrikaner Volksfront. The step followed the establishment of the new Afrikaner Freedom Front, and they submitted, of course, a candidate list for the April 1994 elections.
I really sincerely doubt whether I will have the confidence to ever dare another operation with the AWB because they are at this stage just not paying attention to the general planning. In virtually every case, they follow their own agenda. I'm referring to Goedgevonden. I'm also referring to the World Trade Center. And I'm now referring to Bophuthatswana. And I would like to say that I will not, from a military side, carry the responsibility of such joint operations after this anymore. It was therefore that I decided, the three reasons that I decided to rather resign from my position. I would like to say that I'm very impressed by the way in which the farmers that we used to deploy in the area, how they operated. And I would like to say that the farmers in their preparation, in the execution of the job, they showed very good discipline. As a matter of fact, they were hardly picked up before the large group of farmers, virtually 2,000 of them, arrived in Bophuthatswana. They were very disciplined, and in the planning conference on Wednesday, we even asked our farmers not to wear normal khaki clothes because of the similarity between khaki of the farmer and the dress of the AWB. And we asked the farmers to, in most cases, if possible, to come with sportswear. And this explained to you why we had such a lot of farmers in the normal, informal sportswear that you get on the farm. So this is a pity. But I think we must realize that military operations are very important operations. And I have a certain military prestige, and the way this thing went certainly done my image not a lot of good, and certainly also not the image of the AVF. And I am very sorry about the effect it also will have on the farming community.
Once were powerful, weren't they? Right, before we close, let's take a look at the result of today's poll. And there it is. 36% of you say yes, we can reverse and conquer the culture of it's our time to eat. 15% say maybe, and a whopping 49% say no. So those are the results. Thank you for taking the time then to watch and participate in our show. Now here's a question. Do you think enough has been done to promote quality early childhood development? That means our poll for tomorrow is now open. You choose from the usual three colors: green, yes; yellow, maybe; red, no. You can interact with our poll on sabcnews.com and of course answer our question on Facebook and Twitter. Remember to use the hashtag SABCDG25 and SABC News. You can also view profiles like you saw from Mam Dingan today on our election website, sabcnews.com/elections. And of course, if you want to be part of the People's View in the next show, send us an email to dg25@sabc.co.za. Thank you for watching. From me, Bongani Bingwa, as always, ubusuku benzolo. Good night.